Okay, so we're going to be learning how to draw the nose. So we're going to be doing the front facing nose and then the side view nose. To start off, the first step, you're going to draw a small circle very, very lightly. You don't want to press on it too hard. So we do a circle. We're going to do two other small circles right next to it. Then we're going to draw the bridge of our nose, which are going to be two lines that are going to connect, but then they don't, and they come out like this. So this is the sketch of our nose, the template, or the base of our nose. Once we have this, we can start actually inputting all of our actual lines. So I'm going to start off with the sides of the nostrils. So I'm going to do two kind of like parentheses touching the smaller circles. Once I have that, I will add my two nostrils. So I'm going to use this little section that is in between the bigger circle and the smaller circles, and that's where I'm going to be placing them. They're going to be kind of like teardrops that are upside down or like to the side. And then I'm going to connect them here at the bottom. And that's the base of our nose. So once we have this, we can start inputting all the tonal placement. So I'm going to start with the darkest areas, which would be obviously the nostrils. So I'm just going to color that in as dark as I can. And now I will start shading. So I'm going to use these as guidelines to know where to shade. Remember, when you're shading, you want to hold your pencil sideways, grab it from the very end and use the side of the very tip in order to shade. So I'm going to do the bridge of the nose first. So I'm going to add like a mid-tone all the way through. All the way through, in between. So I'm stopping right above the little circle. I'm leaving that empty. I'm not going to touch that. And then I'm going to shade in the other side too. I'm going to shade the bottom part of the nose. So if I make a line just going across like that, all of this is going to be shaded in. And I'm going to bring it down to the bottom of the nose too, and the sides. Yeah. Then I'm also going to shade across the nose. And a bit on the side of the circle, that main circle. Something like that. So once I have all the tonal values in, I'm going to start blending out with my finger. So I just need to make sure there's no pencil marks. I want to try my best to blend everything out. I just want to try and avoid these white areas. Okay, now that it's all blended out, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go back and darken up any area that needs to be darkened up. So for example, for sure, the right here on the nostrils, I'm gonna darken up underneath, and I'm leaving a little area right there for light. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna shade in the sides of it, darken up the side of the nostril, the edge of the nose. And all of this shading is going to depend on the type of nose that you're drawing. So it just depends on the shape of the nose. Just at the end, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. You want to make sure there's no harsh lines. The nose shouldn't have any lines, especially at the bridge of the nose. Everything should be blended out. Then I'm also going to shade a bit here and darken up right underneath my nose. Then the last step would be to just go back and erase where there would be highlights. So usually the highlight of the nose will be kind of like an exclamation mark right down the center, a little circle at the tip of the nose, and then a line on the bridge of the nose. And then what you can do is just make sure you blend it out so there's no harsh lines. And you're done with your front-facing nose. So now for the side-facing nose, it's going to be very similar. This one's a little bit more simple. There's a little bit less steps involved. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to start off again with a very light circle. Right next to that circle, we're going to do another smaller circle, slightly lower, very, very slightly. And then we're just going to do a line to mark where the bridge of our nose will be. So once we have this, we can get started with the placement of our lines. So I'm going to start off with the side of the nose. So right here. Then my nostril is going to follow. And I'm going to do it at the bottom of this bigger circle. Just curve in and close. Now that I have this, I will actually shape out my nose. Noses all have different shapes, so this just depends on your reference, what picture you're looking at. Some noses will have some little bumps on the bridge of the nose. Some noses will be a little bit more smooth. So it just depends on what nose you're looking at. Okay, so now we can start with the shading of the nose. So I'm going to start with the darkest area, which is the nostril. Then I'm going to start shading in the nose bridge. So this whole area, again, I'm using the side of my pencil to shade. And I don't want to press too hard. Just putting a little bit of pressure. I'm going to bring it all the way down to where the circle is. And I'm kind of going to use the circle to guide the shading up to there and stop right there. Make sure you leave this white area here. Okay. Then the bottom of the nose, I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to make a line across and a shade across there. Then I'm going to shade right here where the circle is, where the bigger circle is. And that does it for the tonal placement. So once I have this, we can blend out some of our shading. And now that we have this, then we can go back and darken up whatever we need to darken up. So for sure here in between these two circles, there's going to be some shading right underneath the edge of the nostril. And on the very tip of the nose. Okay. Then we go back and erase wherever we need to. And that's the side nose.